we all? This morning? What was it with this morning?
Yeah, this morning was a bit much.
Wasn't it really cold this morning?
It was ridiculously cold this morning.
Yeah, wasn't it?
It was.
How cold was it?
How cold was it, Indy? It was so cold my cats were annoying.
Oh, right.
Which isn't actually funny, but it's true.
Okay, very good. That's a good story, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, let's leave the cats to themselves. And Rita, we're going to be talking about future forecasting and thinking and thoughts about how we're going to work in the future. How long can one forecast office spaces, for instance?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're looking at a futurist like someone like a Ray Kurzweil, I mean, he's telling you what's going to happen in 2020 and 24, up to 2040, he's kind of got a vision of what's going to happen. If you ask someone like me, I'm forecasting about 2 years in advance or so. I'm looking at more the short term of what's happening. A lot of what's going to shift, I think, is as we start to see monitor-less computers.
What, modem-less?
No, monitor-less.
Monitor-less,
when we start to get more into these 3D spaces and virtual spaces, and when we start to think about that, I think that we start to really consider how space is going to change, and so organization is going to change when our interface is going to really evolve.
Right.
And then of course you have, like your virtual assistants. If you think about Siri on your Apple phone, I mean that's just a small indication of what's to come. Or Watson.
What is Watson?
The IBM computer that won Jeopardy, that won the game show in
Okay.
America.
Oh yeah.
So when you think about Watson, or a brain like that, a computerized brain like that, or you think about Siri, who is quite funny. Siri's become my friend.
Yes, Is she nice to you?
She really is. She's nice. She's funny. she's quite the jokester, that one.
I noticed. But she's bad in Swedish. Her Swedish is, her Swedish is like so, yeah. No, she only speaks English, actually, so yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so far anyway.
Oh, I'm disappointed. I thought she was multilingual.
So how will we work? You're talking about the actual physical space. You're talking about, the monitors getting down and everyone realizing that we're going to get an open space and we're going to shift the way we work. But what about the organization? I mean,
well, I guess what I'm saying is in changing the physical space, it changes the way that you organize and you come together. Right now, one of the big conversations going on is, does brainstorming even work? Everyone is saying there's all these studies that show that actually groups coming together does not really work, that really having time on your own to think is the way that you actually accomplish something. And part of why brainstorming doesn't work is because sometimes if somebody's too critical of you, it keeps ideas at bay, or it starts to hinder the way that you'll express yourself. More spontaneous meetings kind of are usually more of a spark to get a dialogue going, or to get people really on a more thought-provoking path, right? And that's why you start to see, and we're starting to see this in office spaces, where they'll have almost like meeting points, and like transitional points where there'll be like a table and 2 chairs, almost like a cafe in the office space. So that it becomes more about, we bump into each other, we start a conversation, it's leading to these thoughts, let's sit down. And so it gives you an environment, and that's supposed to be in a workplace. And so it's definitely shifting the way that we look at the organization and how organizations are actually, or how management styles will be. It starts to change a lot of how we think and we operate.
What about all those extra activities that we start seeing, like in advertising agencies? Like everyone's going to like golfing courses, or they have dinners all together. Or we talked earlier also this week about branding the office, branding the workspace, and branding the way we work. Do you think that it's going to evolve even more, or where's the limit in like 20 years?
Right. I mean, well, here's where I don't know that it's a limit, but here's. I think the interesting part that's coming through is that you're going to have these more technologically kind of enhanced beings that are become part of your organization.
Like robots.
Yeah. So you're going to have like artificial intelligence that's part of the conversation. I mean, that's going to shift the way that you're interacting with one another and what that interaction means.
How's that going to change? I mean, of course, I understand it's going to change because when you talk to Siri in a different way than you talk to a person. So,
exactly,
but how is that going to change?
How's it going to change the way that we organize?
Yeah. No, the way we communicate with each other.
Oh, the way that we communicate. I mean, communication becomes maybe even that much more important in a sense because of like the physical dimension. You know what I mean? Like there's something to be said about chemistry or energies between people that you just can't have. Not to say I'm not saying that I don't think robots will have some kind of element of understanding feeling.
Yeah.
Because right now, scientists definitely have an entire scan of the brain to understand every process of the brain, but then there's physiological things that I don't know that they're there yet with, where there's a physical connect, there's like things that you sense that are beyond logic or reason and intellect, and so that definitely changes the way that you interact with one another, and that's why even there's a lot of great things that happen virtually. You can have meetings from across the world and you don't have to be in the same room together, but there's also something to be said about you and I sitting here having this conversation in person rather than me on a screen and you talking to me. It's not the same. There's something to be said about that human interaction. So I think in many ways that there's going to be a value added to that interaction, probably more so as we start to have this kind of colder dimension or this person or non-person or this artificial intelligent being that will be part of the dialogue.
What are your hopes for the future office, and what are your fears for the future office?
I don't believe in having fears, right? There's always a downside to things. I try to think of things more in a hopeful manner, and I think that the more we educate ourselves and are able to create organizations in ways that we want to be in a positive sense, then we don't have to worry about the fear, right? Like you can say, I fear this computer thing and robotics, but if you learn more about them and figure out and have it in the hands of good people, and then that will alleviate those who might do harm with it. And it's the same with the organization, right? I mean, it's the more you learn about what's to come and how to better organize yourself today, it leads to less problems in the future. One of the things that you see is sometimes people think that they don't need reliance on humans as much, where things become more and more technologically kind of focused. And I would say that's probably, not the thing to do, but figure out how to have an interaction between both.
Right. Interesting thoughts. I look forward to see how this future office space is going to evolve, actually.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I thank you for coming here, Rita.
Thank you for having
I'll
me.
see you again
you
later.
So much.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Hi, Rita. You're waving. You're not playing anymore?
I've seen her 3 times. I wanted to see